other impressions, I guess, but that's cool that you did mention, at least Hawaii did get a mention in the book. We're appreciative.
And the thing is, there's only so much you can put
right
in the book. I mean,
understood.
They did remove a lot of stuff.
Did they?
Oh, absolutely.
And I don't have the final. I'm looking, and I did this review based on the PDF, so I wonder if any of this stuff is going to be taken out of the...
I don't know. I haven't seen that one you were on about. But... yeah, there was a hell of a lot of stuff in, but there's things removed because it was too much, you know.
There is a fantastic story that happened much later in your life that I would have not done a good job if I didn't get to the story. What do I have on time on that thing?
11 minutes here.
Okay, cool. To go?
Nope, it's 11.
That's how much we've done. There was the Queen's Jubilee, it's called, and you got to do the Queen's Jubilee. There were no swearing signs backstage at this. Was that just for Ozzy, or is that just in general?
It might have been just for Ozzy. No, there were signs in the dressing room, certainly in our dressing room. There were signs saying no swearing, no drinking, no smoking, no this, no that. So you have to be very, very careful.
Do you think it was just because of him, or you think everybody?
Well, it might well have been. I don't know.
So you've got to tell this story. There are a lot of good stories in this book, and it's a must-have book. But one of the real classics in this book, right? Because I can just picture it. You're standing around. It's after the show, I'm presuming. You're talking to Sir Paul McCartney and Tony Blair. You've got to tell.
No, I was talking. We went back to the palace. We were invited back for the drink, for the 15-minute drink, which obviously went way past that. Anyway, we went back. Phil Collins, myself, Ozzy, and Sharon, and we walked in and into the stateroom, and everybody was in there. All the royal family, everybody, the Prime Minister, his wife, and the whole caboodle. And I walked one way with Phil Collins, and Sharon and Ozzy walked the other over this side. And Tony Blair came up to me, and who's the Prime Minister then, and going, "Tony, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan." And I was like so shocked to hear this coming from Tony Blair. I've got the early albums and so on and so on and so on. Wow. And then he introduced me to Sherry Blair, his wife. I mean, hello. And while I'm talking to him, Ozzy came over, bumbling over, and he took no notice of Tony Blair. He just came up to me. "Oh, what about?" I went, "Oz, Tony Blair's," and Tony Blair's holding his hand out to shake hands. And Ozzy went, "Oh, hello," and walked off. I went, you know, what could I say? I was absolutely shocked. I mean, he always does that. I thought, I want to say that. It was so surreal, the whole thing, you know.
You describe it so great. Tony describes it. He's standing there talking, and he hears Tony, and you just say the Prime Minister comes up to you like he's known you all his life.
Yeah, it was really strange. And then Prince William and Harry came up and said, "Why didn't you play Black Sabbath?" I went, "Well, I don't think Black Sabbath would have quite gone down there." Because I'm surprised we were there, Ozzy and myself.
Yeah.
Because the artists that were on, you know, Tom Jones and Shirley Bassey and Paul McCartney, and were all, you know, very
made more
calm,
sense, I guess.
very calm people, you know, Cliff Richards, and then us, you know. It seemed like we were a bit of a sore thumb. I'm very surprised that we'd be playing for the Queen, but.
And of all things, though, when you think of Tony Blair, you just don't think of Tony Blair rocking out to the Sabbath.
No, he got a guitar, and he was telling me about his guitar, and I thought, wow.
So he stood there for a while talking.
Oh yeah, he stood for a while, and I actually got in touch with Gibson and got him to make him a guitar to send to him.
Really?
Mm.
Like, would he ask you for a special?
He didn't ask me for one. I just thought we'd send him one.
You just figured, I got to do something to pay that guy back.
But it was actually good. I mean, I just couldn't believe it, and it's almost like one of those when you leave. Did that happen?
Right. Yeah, that's what the whole chapter. When you're reading that, you're like, you just can't picture Tony Blair doing that. No. Paul McCartney, that was your first, I'm not sure, was that your first encounter with Paul McCartney at that?
It was, yeah. I've met the others, but I hadn't met McCartney.
And, well, there's I guess the reason I had asked you whether Ian Anderson was a tough guy was because when you got to meet John Lennon, in the rock and roll circus, Ian says something to you like, "What do you think of your hero now?" Because of the condition John was in, or something.
Yeah, that was that they did a jam. There was Eric Clapton, Keith Richards, Mitch Mitchell on drums, and John Lennon, and Yoko.
Right.
And they were playing, and it didn't gel.
Right,
Let's put it that way. And Ian Anderson, because I was waiting to see Clapton, I thought, I've got to see Clapton. He was the one I was interested in seeing. And it was all over the place. And Ian went, well, what do you think of your heroes now? And, oh.
Ever meet John?
He didn't mean it nastily.
Right.
It just sort of...
Yeah, but in his business, I get it, though. From his professional, super business,
because
on time.
Ian was very
practiced,
professional.
focused.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I get it.
Yeah.
He wasn't being mean. He was saying it more as the
Yeah.
perfectionist that he
very
applied to the band.
Perfectionist, yeah.
That makes sense. You at another point in your life on the opposite end of being a high point like that. I mean, not that this is a low point, but Ronnie's sickness. Did you see him at all after that final House of Blues Heaven and Hell show?
No, we spoke a lot because at that point I went for a hand stem cell treatment,
right.
and that's why we stopped the tour. We were going to go on more, but I had to stop and have this done. So I went off to Germany for a week to have that done, and meantime, on the last few gigs, Ronnie was sort of complaining. He said, well, my stomach feels a bit weird. And I'd give him Tums and stuff like that, and it never had any effect. And so I said, do you want to get yourself checked out? You know, he says, yeah, I'm going to, when we finish. And that's sort of how we left it, and he went and got himself checked out. And of course, he found out he got cancer, stomach cancer. And we were in contact talking, and over a period, he'd phone up, and then I called him, see how he's doing and how he's getting on, and he was going through the chemo, and he said he was very positive about the whole thing. And then the next thing I heard, I mean, it wasn't that quick, but the next thing I heard in the positive side, it had gone, it had got it.
Right.
Fantastic. And meanwhile, they're started putting in shows then, because we were going to do a
big tour. Yeah.
And I said to Ronnie, I'm looking forward to, it'd be nice to get out again. He went, and yeah, it's a lovely, but I don't know how that's going to go. And it's sort of in his voice, it sounded a bit sort of, I don't know. And the next thing, of course, I heard it had gone to his liver. And he was in hospital and seriously coming down quick. And Geezer was with him all the time. Thank God for him, he was there. It happened that quick that because I said, I'll come out. And Geezer said, I got to tell you, I don't think you should come out and see him like this. He said, I don't think he's going to last very long. And I said, God. And I said to Ralph, my manager, let's go out. Let's book a ticket and get out there. And then Geezer phoned up and said, it's too late. It happened that quick.
Are there, now that it's been a little bit of time, are there any lessons? You're older than me. I can learn from you not only because of your profession, but also because you're my senior. Are there lessons that from his loss that have occurred to you, just about valuing people or time together? Absolutely.
I mean, we got so close in that last incarnation of the Heaven and Hell. It was fantastic. We really got on well. We were writing well together. We had a great tour, and we really enjoyed it being around each other. And that was very precious. Now you realise how precious it was. Now it's gone, which is always the case, isn't it? And I also learnt to sort of get checkups regular now of different things, which he didn't, you see. And Ronnie never. His routine was terrible. He wouldn't have breakfast. He wouldn't eat. He might not eat for all day. He might just go in the bar and drink. He weren't a drunk, but
right.
he used to drink a lot. You wouldn't never see Ronnie paralytic. But his hours he would keep. He would go to bed really late, and he just wasn't healthy.
So lifestyle changes?
Yeah, I think you've got to have.
You've made lifestyle changes? You're getting checked out
I've
more?
always tried to. Oh yeah, that's definitely made me sort of get checked out more and try and keep a bit more on top. Because you remember, I mean, that's embedded in you now. You see that.
What a you really hit the nail on the head, and I knew it myself, but just to hear you, I mean, you guys, you had the original era of that band, the Mob Rules lineup of the band, basically, and then you guys, you know, started on the Heaven and Hell tour, and then you guys didn't last that long. Then you come back for the Dehumanizer, lasts even shorter. Then you come back as Heaven and Hell, and like you said, it gelled. It probably would have gone on. It would still be going.
It would have gone on. We were planning on doing another album. We didn't want to be apart. I remember talking to Ronnie when we went to this Japanese restaurant in Japan, sushi restaurant, and I was talking to Ronnie then because it was coming to the end of what we said we'd do, because we said we'd work for that year, and then we didn't make plans. We didn't say, well, it's going to be 5 years, because we thought we'd take it in stages. And I remember saying to Ronnie, oh, it's a shame, and he going, yeah, it's a real shame. We're sort of, that's it, sort of thing. And when we said, well, why don't we, would you be interested in doing any more, And I says, yeah, I would, and would you? Yeah, I'd love to do it. I think we should do it. And then we was all excited then, great, let's do it, let's do an album, and that's what we did. I mean, it was just great how it all happened, and we would have done another album and a tour.
Right. It felt like it was the only thing that stopped it was the illness. That's
Absolutely.
the only thing that stopped Heaven and Hell.
That's what stopped it. Yeah, and we couldn't carry on without Ronnie. That was our little baby, and and to go out as Heaven and Hell was great, because it was a totally different. It wasn't under the Sabbath banner, it was Heaven and Hell.
And, and through the set list that you chose by not picking any of the original era music, I think it totally explains the name, too, why you didn't use the name. At first, I was thinking, maybe it's because he's not allowed to or something, but then I thought, no, I get it. The set list, this is that era. Yeah. It makes sense. In the last several weeks, months, as the lead up to your book has been coming our way, you hear all these stories in the media that, people quote you.
I know what's coming.
You have to. I mean, how can any true diehard Sabbath fan not bring this up? So the book ends with you. I mean, you talk about these Rick Rubin sessions that didn't happen. You met him. You talk about the music that you made. Then you went and saw Rick briefly. You had this one little encounter. 6 finished songs.
Well, 6 ideas of songs.
Okay,
they were finished to a point, but I mean, obviously you work more on them. But yeah, we took 6 to Rick. This was a while back, quite a way back, when we tried to do it the first time, before he'd done his MTV thing, before he got into all that. We had a go at getting back together and wrote these songs, and Rick Rubin listened to them and said, yeah, I like that one, I like that one, I like that one. And that's as far as we went. We'd never done anything, because then Ozzy started going into the reality show, and it was no point then, because all his time was taken up, and it sort of dwindled off, and then we ended up doing our own things, solo stuff and whatnot.
It may come out. We may get a original Black Sabbath.
That won't come out.
That won't?
No.
Those ideas may make it into a new form?
If those tracks had to come out at all, it would be in a different form, pulling them around a bit, because I've heard them a lot, and I'd change them around now and put new riffs in and put this in and change this and that. Do
us one favor. If you guys reunite, add Hawaii Brother.
Oh, I'd love to.
Okay. Got to get to Honolulu.
I'm with you.
I appreciate it. I hope you've had fun today. This has been
it's great.
A great time getting to reconnect with you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.